It was a calm morning at the airport, filled with the usual chaos of rolling suitcases, coffee cups in hand, and people rushing to their gates. Among them was Marcus, a tall black man in his early 30s, sharply dressed in a navy blue suit. His confidence showed in every step he took as he approached the gate for his first-class flight. He had worked hard for years, built his own company from the ground up, and now finally enjoyed the comfort of life that he had once only dreamed of. This flight wasn't just another trip. It was his chance to close one of the biggest business deals of his career. As he handed over his boarding pass and stepped into the plane, the first-class cabin welcomed him with its leather seats, soft lighting, and that luxurious feeling that only those seats could offer. He took his spot near the window, stretched a little, and finally allowed himself to relax. Just as the last passengers began boarding, Marcus noticed her. A young pregnant woman, probably in her late 20s, entered the cabin looking flustered and uncomfortable. She clutched her boarding pass in one hand, and with the other, she held her swollen belly as if trying to balance herself. Sweat rolled down her forehead, and her breathing was heavier than usual. She paused for a moment, looked around at the cabin, and then realized that her seat was much farther back in economy. Marcus could see her face fall with disappointment and exhaustion. She had that look, tired, worried, and almost defeated. The flight attendant politely pointed her toward the back, but Marcus couldn't ignore the sight. He thought about his own mother, who had raised him as a single parent, struggling day and night just so he could have opportunities she never did. He remembered the times when his mother would go hungry just to make sure he had food. That memory alone was enough for him to stand up. "Excuse me," Marcus said to the flight attendant. "Can you please let her take my seat? I'll sit wherever she's supposed to go." The flight attendant blinked, surprised. "Sir, are you sure? This is a first-class ticket." "Yes," Marcus replied firmly. "She needs this more than I do." The pregnant woman looked at him with wide eyes. No, couldn't. You paid for this seat." But Marcus smiled warmly. "Please, I insist." Reluctantly, she allowed him to help her settle into the spacious first-class seat. Her eyes glistened with tears, but she quickly turned away, almost hiding her face. Marcus didn't think much of it. He simply picked up his bag and walked toward the cramped economy section, finding his spot in the middle seat between two strangers. It wasn't comfortable, but he didn't mind. He had done the right thing. As the flight took off, Marcus dozed off for a while, but when he woke up and glanced toward the front of the plane, he noticed something unusual. The pregnant woman was no longer sitting quietly. She had kicked off her shoes, leaned back luxuriously, and was chatting animatedly with the crew as though she owned the place. Marcus couldn't help but frown. She didn't look tired anymore. She looked almost smug. Then things got stranger. The woman loudly ordered special meals, demanded extra pillows, and even asked one of the attendants to bring her water room temperature only. Some first-class passengers exchanged irritated glances, whispering about her behavior. Marcus thought to himself, "Did I make a mistake?" But then came the twist that no one expected. About halfway through the flight, the captain himself came out of the cockpit and approached the pregnant woman. Passengers gasped quietly, wondering what was happening. The captain bent slightly, greeted her respectfully, and said, "Ma'am, thank you for flying with us again. It's an honor having you on board." Marcus froze. Again, then the whispers began. Two businessmen in the first-class section leaned toward each other. "Do you know who she is? That's Vanessa Wright. She owns one of the biggest investment firms in New York. Multimillionaire. Practically a billionaire." Marcus's jaw dropped. This wasn't just any pregnant woman. This was someone whose name carried weight in the financial world. But that wasn't the real shock. The real shock came when she stood up, turned to the flight attendant, and said loudly enough for the whole cabin to hear, "This man back there, the one who gave up his seat, he's Marcus Hall, isn't he? The CEO of Hall Enterprises." Everyone turned to look at Marcus in economy, stunned. Vanessa smiled, her eyes softening. "I know him. I followed his career. What he just did, giving up his comfort without even knowing who I am. That tells me more about his character than any business pitch could." The entire cabin was silent. Then she added, "When we land, Mr. Hall, I'd like to discuss an investment opportunity. I think your company deserves someone like me backing it up." Marcus sat there stunned. He had given up his first-class seat thinking it was just a small act of kindness. But now that act was about to change his life forever. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the cabin. The murmurs grew louder, passengers whispering about how a simple decision to be kind had brought Marcus face to face with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When the plane finally landed, Vanessa personally walked back to economy, shook Marcus's hand, and said, "Let's talk. You'll hear from my team first thing tomorrow morning." Marcus could only smile, realizing that sometimes the universe rewards kindness in the most unexpected ways. As they walked off the plane, passengers whispered to each other, "That's the man who gave up his seat, and now look what happened." And that, right there, is the twist. The black man's small sacrifice leads to a massive reward he never saw coming. Before the story closes, let's seal it with the message. True greatness isn't in wealth or titles. It's in the choices we make when no one's watching. So if you found this story powerful, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder of kindness, and subscribe for more inspiring and dramatic stories like this one.